Hey, what's up, everybody? Bitcoin taking a little bit of a breather here at $90,000. The RSI is cooling off. Things are still looking really bullish. The reason why is because when we zoom in to the small time frames, remember, by the way, remember, we are on a daily 9, okay? This is a sell signal, but it doesn't mean to sell, right? You got to have it in conjunction with other things. So we also have a 4-day 9, right? And we also had a 12-hour 9 not so long ago. So again, if you want to know about the 9s, right, how they work, basically it's an exhaustion indicator. Go watch the free members video I put out, I think yesterday. Go watch it. I basically go over everything in regards to how this is. It's basically a free trading lesson if you're interested in that. But yeah, we're on a 9 here. So another thing too is we hit the 1618 extension, right? Let's just go through all the stuff real quick, and then I'm going to show you the small time frames. I'm going to show you why it's bullish. So I'm going to show you why it's still bullish, rather. So you can see we perfectly nailed. Look at that, perfectly. We're right in between the 1618 and the 1702. Perfect, right? Another thing too that we did brilliantly. Look at this. Watch. Let's go to the 5-day chart. And let's put this on regular scale. Now watch this. I think it's still there. Let's see. If I take a trend line and I connect it from here to here and I drag it along, look at that. Look at that, guys. We perfectly slammed right into it, right? And if we look closely, we got rejected. So we have the 618. We have the trend line, right? We have the other 618 that I didn't even show you. We'll look at this right here. So if you take a trend-based fib extension from here, right? Because this is the starting wave from here down to here. Look at that. Also a 1618 extension. So we have two 1618 extensions, right? We have the trend line getting hit. We have a 4-day 9, a daily 9, and a 12-hour 9. So that's a lot of stuff letting you know, hey, maybe take it a little bit easy here. Maybe we need a little bit of a pullback. Maybe we need to flag out in here a little bit. Maybe we need to reset the oscillators and then continue up, which is totally possible and maybe even likely, right? So I just want people to be aware of that, all right? So now let's zoom in. Let's zoom in to the 1-hour chart. Let's get rid of the trend line. We don't need that anymore. So right off the bat, let's go to the 30 actually. Look at this. Look at this. You see it? So first of all, this is good wave structure because when we were here, we didn't have any wave structure. We just basically had a straight line up and we just consolidate. So it's really hard to know. But now a few days has passed, right? Several days has passed. Now we have clear wave structure. And what I'm seeing is very interesting. So what I see off the bat is we have 1, 2, 3 down. That could be a W. We have 1, 2, 3 up. That could be an X. We have 1, 2, 3 down. Looks like a flat. That could be a Y. Okay, so this is a running flat type of correction. It's an idea. I'm not saying that's what it is, but this is what it looks like right now. This is a running flat WXY correction. So basically WXY. So there's your shape right there. That's a beautiful running flat. So if you notice, we're sort of chilling right here in this zone. And if I take a fib, I'm actually going to take it from there, right? Because if this is a 3-way move to the upside, you basically want to start the wave or start the fib where the wave ended, not, you know, so this is where the wave ended, right? And this is a correction, this is a correction, this is a correction. So you know what I mean? So right now we're right at the 1-to-1, right? I mean, we're at the one extension here. So we're doing pretty good. If I raised it up a little bit more and then I put it right here, right? These are the levels we need to get through, right? Which would be 91K. So that's the strong resistance we need to get through, 91K, right? So as it stands right now, right, 333, it still doesn't look completely finished, if I am being completely honest. The reason why is because I don't know, I don't think this wave is finished. So in order to understand that, let's zoom in. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's your A. I see 1, 2, 3, there's your B, right? But I don't see 5 and C. I see 1, 2. Maybe we get 3, 4, and 5, right? And let me zoom out so we can see that. So there's the whole correction. So maybe we get, so we have 3 down, we have 3 up, and then we have 1, 2, 3 down. And in this wave, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So yeah, this would be an ABC, right? So yeah, that would be a great looking correction because it would be a flat. It would be, we would get down here, maybe back to the bottom of this. And again, 3 waves right there. So that's one idea. Another idea is to say, yeah, it's finished and that's all you get. Another way we can look is all we have to do is take a trend-based fib extension from the top of this wave. Let's go down to the bottom and then let's drag it up. And right now we hit the 786. I would like to see a 1-to-1 extension here at 86K, right? Because what this could be is also a WXY, which is probably more likely because the way this is a pretty massive wave 1 if it's a wave 1, if it's a 5-wave move, right? So it would make more sense to me that it would be a 3-wave move, right? But it doesn't really make sense that it's a 3-wave move because, you know, we have 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So anytime you have 5 in A, you really need 5 in C, you know what I mean? And I guess you can say there is 5, right? Let's even zoom in even further. Yeah, I just don't see it. You know, because it went straight down. I don't have any waves. I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to say that, but I don't have that 2 there. So, you know, that's what makes it challenging too, you know? So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the 5-minute. Could this be, let's say it is finished. Let's say it's done. Okay, well, if it's finished, then what we want is a diag. This has to be a diag. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we get A, B, and C. We get back down here, and then we start to go higher. But then we have to get through this. We have to get through the retracement levels. You know what I mean? So, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I still think, you know, what would make more sense to me would be to sort of consolidate in here, right? Consolidate low, consolidate higher low, consolidate higher low, right? And the reason why I like this is because look at this, guy. This is why I'm still bullish. You ready? So if you notice, I guess I could just do it like this. If you notice this, look at that. We're sort of in a channel. So the channel looks pretty decent, actually. So let's zoom out and let's look at it from this perspective. Remember, you know, what I said before too is these type of corrections are actually bullish. How you run up and then you kind of bottleneck in here, you're channeling, and then eventually you break to the upside. That's usually what happens with these type of corrections when you have that initial run up. We can see evidence of that right. Actually, I'd have to zoom in a little bit. Right here, you can see something similar right there. You see that? Where we're chilling. We break to the upside, and then we channel. Boom, 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 and then we break out, right? So this could be just a much bigger channel. You see what I mean? So what I could do, just to kind of get, it's not a fractal at all, but what I could do is just take this and make it bigger and just kind of look at it a little bit. I mean, it obviously looks completely different, but you can kind of see a little bit of the wave structure in there. So, let's just keep that in the back of our minds. And when we look, like for example, if I go to the daily chart and we go back in time, you can see something similar here, right here. And it's, we move up, we're channeling, and then we break out, right? We see even more of those examples here, but I'm not going to go through those. I just wanted to, let you know that it could be some type of flat, like a running flat, or even a regular flat, right? So those are the options on the small time frames. What else could be going on here? Remember, I just said we had all those nines. We hit the 618 extension. We hit the trend line. There's a lot of things to be a little bit cautious about. So what else? Let's talk bearish ideas for a moment. And when I mean bearish, I mean short-term bearish, like correcting wise, right? So let's go to the 1 hour. And first, let me just put a line at the top of the all-time high. There we go. And then what I could do is basically take a regular Fibonacci retracement from the bottom of this wave, the starting point, and go all the way to the top. So you can see the 618 comes in at $76,000. So we hit $90,000. Now imagine coming all the way back down, right? We hit 92, and then we hit 85,000, and then you hit 82,000, and then you hit 80, and then you hit 78, and then you go down to 76, and then you hit 74. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, think about it. That's a long ways down, So that's how much wiggle room we have, and that basically adds to the risk, because if Bitcoin wanted to come down and backtest the top of its breakout area, that would be a 17% drop. If Bitcoin dropped 17% down to backtest, I'm not saying that's going to happen. By the way, this is not financial advice. I could be totally wrong. But what I'm saying is, if we dropped back down to 73K and backtested it, that's a 17% drop. Imagine what the altcoins would go through. Bitcoin can go down 1% and the altcoins can go down 10%. Imagine a 17% drop in Bitcoin. Altcoins can get obliterated because there's no confirmation that alt season's there, and I'm going to get into the altcoins in just a second, but the reason why is, let me just show you like THETA real fast, right? We had a beautiful pullback. It looks great, but here's the problem. On the bigger time frames, we're still in this range here. We haven't yet escaped it. And not only that, we haven't even gotten to the retracement levels yet, right? So we still have to get out of this range. We have to get into the retracement levels. We have to work these levels out, and then we have to break the top. And then once we break the top, then we have to worry about, getting through these higher retracement levels up here, right? So there's still a lot of work to be done. And what I'm saying is, there's no confirmation yet that the altcoins are going to run. Eventually they will, right? I believe alt season will come, but it usually comes more towards the tail end of where Bitcoin exploded. For example, when we look at Bitcoin, I've shared this many times, right? Let's go to like to the 2-day chart real quick, right? So this was the last run up we had with Bitcoin, right? And if I put THETA on, you can see, right? They both started out flat, but then Bitcoin started to run first, and then THETA ran later on, right? So, and then when we zoom out, Bitcoin came all the way up, and then we topped. We're basically topped here. We're going sideways, sideways, side. And that's when THETA decided to really explode, after Bitcoin had already topped. So that's what I'm saying. If Bitcoin hadn't, so essentially where we are is kind of like right in here, or even like maybe right in here. So that's the equivalent of theta being maybe right in here. So we still have work to do before we can get to this bigger phase. That's all I'm saying. So in the meantime, as Bitcoin corrects, we can see some altcoins, because either altcoins are extremely risk on or they're extremely fragile, meaning they're dramatic. Like altcoins are very dramatic, right? If Bitcoin goes down 1%, you can see altcoins go down 10%. You know what I mean? If Bitcoin goes up 3%, you can see altcoins go up 20%. You know what I mean? So they're very sort of squiggly. You know what I mean? So we have to kind of be a little bit cautious. The reason I'm making this warning is because I know people feel bullish. I know people want the urge to buy, right? It's natural. It's a natural human instinct to want to buy. But again, if you've been following my channel, you guys have probably been buying this whole time, as I've been saying, right? Dollar cost averaging. So I would, for the altcoins, right? By the way, XRP is almost at 80 cents. I can't believe I haven't talked about it yet. I'm still waiting. Okay. So, when we look at, let me just go back to Theta real quick. And the point I'm trying to emphasize is, if Bitcoin is in price discovery and altcoins are way down here, to me, that is a massive buying opportunity, right? This is not the time to run away. But what I'm saying is, if Bitcoin did decide to correct $5,000 to the downside, or even $10,000 to the downside, all I'm saying is you could see some more volatility, right? So we got to be careful with that, and we got to be mindful. So during this Bitcoin mania phase, we saw Theta go up extraordinary, but now look what it's doing. It's flagging out, okay? So that's a good thing. That's a bullish thing. This is me buying. This is a buy the dip opportunity, because again, right? But it's all about dollar cost averaging. You can't go too far, too in, so, you know what I mean? So we went down 20% in Theta, right? Theta had a 20% drop. So in Bitcoin price discovery, it could have a 30% drop, right? If we go back in time, I don't have the chart with me, but I mean, let's see here. You could see the first wave of Theta, right, was pretty explosive actually. But look at the drop it had, right? If I go from here all the way down, that's a 65% drop in a bull market. Okay, so that's what it does. It scares the crap out of people. I don't think it's not going to be that big, because we didn't have a big run up. Look at this. This thing went up from C19 all the way. This went up already 1,200%. That's why. With Theta, we only went up, I think was what, 60% or so. So it's not going to be that bad. But let's take this for example, and we take a measurement here, and we just go down. That was a good 30%, okay? And that's, what did I say we're at? We're right about, did I say 30 or 20? It was 20, okay. So we're at 20%. But again, we only went up 60%. So if you're not sure about that, all you got to do is just draw a fib from here to up here, right? And we're right at the 50%. So anytime we hit the 50%, that is a dollar cost averaging buy for me. Not saying for you, that's not financial advice. It could continue going down. So I put a free members video out, and I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to be talking about how to properly dollar cost average and things like that, and different trading strategies, and it basically comes down to percentages. So I'm not going to get into that completely today, but essentially, if I had $100, right, I would probably put in about probably from here. Well, it's hard to say because I don't have my calculator, but I'm not going to get into all that. But let me draw up a kind of like a spreadsheet, and then I'll present it in a members video, and I'll show you exactly how you're supposed to dollar cost average, because a lot of people, they just wing it. You know what I mean? They got money in their bank account. They go, oh, I'll just buy a couple $100 there, a couple $100 there, But it's more than that. You know what I mean? So But essentially, you know, if you hit the 382, that's 15%. If you hit the 50, that's maybe 25%. If you hit the 618, that's maybe 30%, right? And then if you start breaking below here, then you got to manage your risk, and there's a whole nother discussion. But anyways, I'm not going to bore you with all that. Let's keep moving with the price, all right? So let's go back to Bitcoin and finish that up. We're going to get to XRP. Okay, so what else could it be? Talking bearish now, right? So again, if I had sort of this line here, right around 72K, again, we could come back down and we can backtest. That would be the ultimate bearish idea for Bitcoin. So let me just repeat that one more time. The ultimate bearish thing that Bitcoin could do in the short term would be coming back down to those two lines, right? So you're building a massive base, right? You're revving up the engine and then you explode. So a lot of times, oftentimes, you can come all the way back down, all the way back down, and back test the breakout level. And this is not just any breakout. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6.5. So that's 6.5 points of interest, right? So that's definitely a very attractive level to people who want to buy the dip. So again, the ultimate bearish thing would be to flag out all the way back down to 71K. And then from there, we would probably make a massive explosion. But I don't know if we're going to get something that extensive, because then it would be like, then it would kind of look like another 1-2, honestly. You know, 1-2, 1-2. And then this whole thing looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. But I just can't see wave 4 overlapping into wave 1 of the third. You know what I mean? If that's the count. Because obviously, right, what have we been talking about in here? Well, number one, this was a diag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we would flag out and go. That did not happen. But what else did I say? The other idea was a 1, 2, 1, 2, and this is 1, 2 of the third, and now we're in the third of the third. That is what is happening. So if this is the third of the third, then we should get a wave 4, and then we should pop up for a wave 5. And this would be 1, 2, that's 1, that's 2. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of that's 3. And then we flag out much bigger for a wave 4, and then we go up to wave 5 later on. So that's sort of the main idea right now. There it is, right there, right? So I'm looking for, and now let's zoom in again. Let's zoom in a little bit more. So let me just get rid of that. So we have what appears to be 1, 2, 3, and now we're getting 4, and now let's get 5, right? So all of this would be probably the third wave. The third wave, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so okay. So we have 1, 2, right, of the third. 1, 2, all of that's the third of the third. Then we get 4, then we get 5. So all of that's wave 3, then we get 4, then we get 5. So I kind of want to do it day by day, because when you project too far out, you know what I mean? You want to have the wave structure to back it up. And right now, right, I'm looking at this as a fourth wave. 1, 2, 3, and now this is some kind of wave 4, because it's in the same degree as a wave 2. For example, we pop up, we go sideways, we break out, and now we're flagging out. Well, gee, where have we seen that before? We've seen it with Bitcoin right here. It's right here, look. Let me go to log scale. You can see it right here. Here's your wave 1, we go sideways, and then here's your wave 3, and now we're flagging out for a 4, and then we get 5. It's the same thing, just on a much bigger scale, right? So let's go back to the 1 hour, and you can see. All right, so now let's talk about, what type of fourth wave this could be. And I already just said that we can see a 3-3-3, a running flat. And if this is a running flat, then we want to start pumping and pumping and pumping and then break out for a wave 5. So that's basically it right there, right? Or this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we get down here and then we break out. So that's the difference, right? Okay, so if that doesn't happen, then what else could it be? Right? Well, it could be an expanded flat. Boom, 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 and then go, right? So it depends. We go from here, or do we go from here? We have to look at the small time frames to understand that. But, okay, so what else could it be if that's not the case? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, right? And then we can get another, so that would be 3 down, right? So then we can get another 1, 2, 3 up, and then maybe we can get 5 down or 3 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So then what it becomes is just a bigger flat, right? So you have A, right? And notice when I say flat, look at the line is flat. From here to here, it's flat. That's why they call it a flat. A, and then we go up for B and then C. It's a weird looking shape, I know, but that's if it wanted to be more complex, right? So if we have 3 down and then we get 3 up and then we can get 3 down later, it can just be, a much bigger correction. But I don't really like that too much because then it gets out of proportion with this wave. You see what I mean? And if it gets too out of proportion, then I have to assume that the 5th wave is in. This was the 5th wave, right? Or this was the 5th wave. So if it was the 5th wave, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a very small 3. But at least wave 3 is not the smallest. Wave 3 cannot be the smallest, okay? So those are really the options with Bitcoin. So there we go. But what I do, again, we have a 9, right? And things like that. But we are sort of channeling in here. If we start to break this trend line, here's the trend line that I want you guys to watch, right? Actually, let me zoom in even closer. The trend line I want you to watch is from here to there. Right about there, right? So if we start to break that to the downside, then obviously, right, we'll reevaluate it. But I would like to see this trend line hold because just like over here, for example, right in here, we had a trend line and it held, right? And we're sort of bottlenecking and then we explode, right? So, if we can get back to the top, right? Boom, 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 boom. And then we get back up to here, that would be a good sign. So anyways, that's Bitcoin. Let's move forward. All right, XRP in the house, 80 cents. And you know what? I saw it coming, and I'll prove it to you right here. So look at this. When I was looking at this yesterday and last night, I was thinking to myself, this looks familiar, the way it looks. When we were right here, I didn't like it because it looked like it wanted to do that. But then when we did this and we retested it, then I started to like it. Then I started to remember what it was, right? So look at this. Here's your line right here. Boom, boom. Look at that. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You go sideways. Breakout, right? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulate. But more than that, look at right here. Let me show you this. Take a mental screenshot of that, by the way. But look, this is exactly what happened right here, just on a different scale, right? So you had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and then you broke out. Remember that? So XRP likes to do that. It likes to run up, slam all the way back down, back test, right? And then it likes to creep, and it kind of goes sideways a little bit. And it makes you think it's corrective. It makes you think A, B, C. That's what it makes you think. But it actually is sneaky. And it gets up here. And actually, that's when I started my that's when I did the video. I did the video right as we were breaking out. I think that was, obviously it had to be on the 12th because that's where we were, right before the daily close, right? And we broke out, but we didn't really sustain, and we came back down. So, but we created something even bigger, right? We created the same structure, but just a lot bigger. So we have A, B, right? And it looks like it wanted to be A, B, C, but what it did is it's being sneaky again. It's sneaking up, it's sneaking up, it's sneaking up, and then it gets up here, and it's like coiling up, and you can see the cup, you can see the handle, right? You could see the rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You could see the bottlenecking, right? And then you can see it start to challenge, and then boom, we break it, right? So that doesn't mean it's going to keep going, right? Because again, look what happened over here. We broke it, but then we came all the way back down and we met back with this wave here. So if that were to repeat, I'm not saying it will, but if that were to repeat itself, we could see, you know, we get up here, we play around, we come all the way back down to about here, right? And then sort of continue. So when I look at the chart, all I have right now is 3 waves, because this could be some kind of bigger correction, right? So we have this move down, that could be an A, and then we have 1, 2, 3, that could be a B, this could be a trap, right? And B waves are always traps, always, right? Just know, like, B, beware, right? B, beware of the trap. So B waves, right, trap. So if we see, if this is 5 down and we have 3 up, what could we get? We can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back down, and that would make sense because that's kind of like this fractal here, A, B, C, A, B, C, right? We get back down, maybe I would say about 67. I would say about 67 cents here, if this is the count, right? If this is the count, A, B, C, and then we build a base, and then we go, right? And that kind of would make sense in a way if Bitcoin is correcting in its 4th wave. Remember, we hit 90K plus. If it's got to correct, we had the 618 extension, we hit the trend line, we're on a 4-day 9, on a daily 9. So if we're, there's a lot of signals saying, hey, we could be flagging out, we could be correcting a little bit. So if that's the case, then you have to imagine the altcoins would as well, at least a little bit, right? And if we are expecting a correction, then we can see, obviously, A, B, and then C. It could be, again, it could be a running flat and we go. It could be a regular flat, it could go. Or it could be an expanded flat and go. It's probably not going to be an expanded flat because of how high this went up already, right? Okay, so that's the bearish idea in the short term. All of the ideas are bullish long term. So now let's look at it from a different perspective. So right now I see 5 waves, guys, right? So look at this. We also have 1, 2, right? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1, 2, all of this is 3. So that's 2. All of this is 3. And maybe we just hit the 3rd wave right at 80 cents. So now we could expect maybe we have to flag out in here for a wave 4. And then go up and get a wave 5. Right? Because when the ball's rolling and the bullish momentum is going, you don't want it to stop, right? It's a drug and you're addicted to it. But, like all drugs, they wear off and then you wake up the next morning and you have a headache, you're hungover, you feel all strung out, and you're just like, oh man, I got to go to work now and it's going to suck so bad. Reality starts to set in, right? So don't let that bullish, euphoric drug take over. Yes, it's kind of like, don't do it every day, just do it on the weekends. But most people can't, right? They have to do it every day, and then it turns into a disaster. So let's, detox a little bit and let some let some of these corrections occur. And that's what we need. That's what we want, right? Because again, if this is going where I think it's going, which is all-time highs, I believe full-heartedly that this is the moment XRP is going to see all-time highs for the first time in over 7 years, right? And I think it could happen rather quickly. So if you notice, right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3 down, right? And then we have 3 up, and then we have 3 back down. So there's your 1, there's your 2, right? So now we're in the middle of the third. So this is 1, 2. All of this is 3. Then we get 4. Then we get 5. So that whole thing, this whole thing becomes wave 3, right? So let's zoom out a little bit here. In wave 3, let's take a Fibonacci trend-based extension from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 1, back down to the bottom of wave 2. Now you can put it here or you can put it here. I'm going to actually put it there. So we're looking at 89 cents. Okay. So then what we want to see here is 1, 2, 3, and then we get 4, and then we come up and get 5 at 89 cents. Now, the fifth wave can always be extended, and we can actually shoot past that. It could actually be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get an extended fifth wave, bringing us up to about $1.05, $1.03. That's actually my target, which is around $1, between $1 and between $1 and $1.05, right around there, right? So, yeah. So we can see, you know, we look how long we've been in this flag. We've been flagging out for about 100 days. I mean, that's over 3 months we've been flagging out. And I'm so glad I don't have to talk about it anymore, because it was just like, man, it was just so long. So, yeah, we flagged out, we broke out, and now we're sort of in the middle here, right? So let's see what happens. I mean, again, this thing can get momentum, and we can continue to go higher. Let's talk about if we don't have to correct right now, right? So what we could see here is, you know, a little bit of a different way to count. 1, 2, 1, 2, all of that's 3. Then we're getting 4. Just a little bit of a pullback, and then we come up in 5. And all of that becomes the third, right? And then we kind of get a 4 and then 5. So I believe we got much more upside to come. I'm just not convinced quite yet that it's ready. So if you look at this, you can kind of see a little bit of an ascending triangle. Boom, boom. There's your ascending triangle, right? And if you actually take a trend line from here, and I'll do it for right about there, and then I take this and I put it right there. Look, we met the measured move of the ascending triangle. Okay, so let me just explain that real quick. So here's your ascending triangle, right? If you take the measured move, this is the measurement right here, right? Actually, it's a little bit bigger when you look at it on the 1 hour chart. So let me see here. When you look at it on the 1 hour, it's definitely bigger because of those wicks. So maybe, okay, so maybe we haven't completely hit it yet. So if I take a trend line from here up to here, and then I take it and then I put it right there, you can see we haven't quite hit it yet. So that's actually about 84 cents, right? But if you go and you're more conservative, you go to the 4 hour chart, you can see those wicks, right? So if I take the line and I put it right at the bodies of the candle, and then I put this back over here and then I shrink it a little bit, just doing the bodies, not doing the wicks, and then I put it right there. Look, we like right on the dot, perfectly hit it. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, I think this is going in the right direction. Anytime you sort of make, a pretty significant increase and then you flag out and then you hit the high, that usually signals it's probably finished for a little bit before you got to flag out, right? Hopefully I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong and we don't have to flag out. We could just keep going, 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 going. Let's go. I'm all on board with that. But we you got to be a little bit more conservative. But here's why I'm not so conservative right now. Because look what we're doing. We are breaking out, right? This is the first daily candle that has successfully, and it hasn't happened yet. We still have 3 hours and 47 minutes, right? So we'll just say about almost 4 hours to go. So we have 4 hours to go until the daily candle closes. And if it closes, where do we need it to close? I'll tell you exactly right now. So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to put one right there on this close here. And I'm going to take another line and I'm going to put it on this close here. Okay? So let's zoom out and look at the daily candle. Notice this candle right here, the red one, that was yesterday's candle. And yesterday, look what we did. We wicked, we couldn't do it. And the day before that, we wicked, we couldn't do it. Today, we're breaking out. And that's kind of how I circle around with the whole chart. You know what I mean? So this is a really, really good thing. Officially, we are breaking out of this thing. And you can say, well, wait a minute. What about this guy over here? And that's true. That's true. We have this guy right there at 81 cents. So, but for me, you have one, you kind of have 1 and 2 versus 1. So these are stronger than this one, right? So now you're stuck in between this one and this one, right? You're right in the middle of this zone here. So this is a good spot for it to flag out and create some volume profile, because there's not a lot of trading history in here, right? If you look, and if you go back in time, you can see there actually is a lot of trading history. So if I take this line and I extend it right about there, right? And I take this line and I extend it too, right? You can see there's quite a bit of trading history in here, right? So that means what? Resistance. So you can see there's a cluster right in here. There's a lot of clusters of candles in here. And this is all hard work that the price has to work through, right? So now that we're broken out of here, and hopefully, this is not even confirmed yet. This might not be a breakout, because it could wick back down. It could still close below this line, right? So let's go to the smaller time frames for just a second. Let me make sure those are right on the dot. Yeah, they're close enough. Okay, so let's go to the 10-minute chart. Okay, so there's the line right there. So as long as the price stays above this black line, by the time it hits in 4 hours from now, so probably like maybe 2 or 3 by the time you watch this video, as long as we close above 72 cents today, it is official. We've broken out of the range, right? At least the first part of the range. And we still have one more tiny little spot, but I don't think it'll be that hard. So from here, we're stuck between here and here. So what could we do? Consolidate, right? Let's build up some orders. Let's build up some bids. Let's cool off the oscillators. Let's flag out. Let's, reset the momentum. And then before you know it, we break out. So that's how I'm looking at XRP. So let's zoom out to the 2-day chart. Here we go. Another reason I'm so incredibly bullish is because, let me get rid of these lines. We don't need them anymore. Is because we've broken out of this much larger downward resistance line. And we've already talked about it a little bit, but this right here was back in July, and we broke out in November, right? So that's almost, what is that? Almost a year and a half, basically, about a year and a half. So we've been stuck under this black line for a year and a half, consolidating. This took a year and a half, and we finally broke out. That is amazing. This is not a fake out, right? And I saw someone on Reddit post, "Oh, I sold all my." I mean, that's fine, great, take profit. I love it. But he said he sold all of his XRP because what he said, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I feel for the guy, I feel for you, and this is why. Because the reason he sold is because he believes, and he could be right, he could be totally right, and he could look like a genius, but he sold all of his XRP because he has seen this before. The reason why, let me get rid of this line. The reason why he sold is because he said every time we get up to 70, 80 cents, we always fall back down to 60, 50 cents. Look, it's happened here. We come up, we come all the way back down. We go up, we come all the way back down. We go up, we come all the way back down. We go up, we come all the way back down. So what that does to the human brain is it changes your psychology. It makes you, and that's why XRP is so powerful. That's why the market makers are sort of doing this, because they want people to be complacent. They want people's brain. They want your psychology, your emotional flag, to be on high alert, so that you sell. And that was their whole point, right? Because if it does it every time, it comes up, it comes back down. It goes up, it comes back down. It goes up, it comes back down. It goes up, it comes back down. Each time that happens, people are being conditioned to believe that's what always has to happen. But guess what? Anytime, look how many times it did it. 1, 2, 3, 4. It did it 4 times, right? What is the statistical probability of it doing another time? It can't do it forever. So, and maybe the guy is right, and we have to come all the way back down, just like we did right in here. But here's why this time is different. You want to know why? Number one, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but the main reason is Bitcoin is in price discovery. Bitcoin is in a bull run. Bitcoin is at $90,000. That's the difference. Okay? That's the difference. And then another reason is because of the count that we've been talking about, right? You have to look at it from an Elliott wave perspective. So we have 1, 2, 3. That's an A. We have, or a W, whatever. We have 1, 2, 3. That's a B, right? And then we have 1, 2. Now we're in the middle of the third. And then we get a 4. And then we get a 5. That's a C. That's the difference. See, back over here, when we dropped and we dropped and we dropped, but that's because the reason why we dropped is because it hadn't completed the wave yet, right? Because you could see 3 up, and then when we dropped, that was only a wave A, and then when we came up, that was a wave B, and then when we came down, that was a wave C, and then we pushed up, and then we flagged out, and now we broke out. So that's why it pays to learn the charts, because that could have been me. I could have sold it, and maybe the guy was right. Maybe the guy is right, and we come all the way back down. We could totally do that, and then he can take his money. I'm not going to say how much, but he can take his money and put it back into XRP and look like a genius, right? But I'm not comfortable with doing that. I'm not going to touch my hodl position. I'm not going to touch my XRP until we at least have to get to the all-time high. You know what I mean? So XRP is too unique and too special, in my opinion, to be sold. Because for me, I'm a long-term holder. I'm not somebody who's just going to, unless I'm day trading, it's different, right? So hopefully it works out for that guy, but honestly, I hope it doesn't, because then that would suck. But yeah, this is a legitimate breakout, man. This is not some fake out. This is a real breakout. Now you could say, well, what if it is a fake out? Well, because right here, look at this. This candle right here was a fake out. And the way you know it was a fake out is because it happened in one day, right? This is the 2-day chart, but it happened in one day. And then it came all the way back down to the bottom. That's how you know it was a fake out, right? And then when it came back up, it back tested in here, and then it came back up. It still failed, right? So look how many days this is. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 days, right? If it was a fake out, it would happen a lot faster, is what I'm trying to say. So, and Bitcoin isn't in a fake out. Bitcoin is in a full-blown breakout. I mean, look at Dogecoin, right? Look at others out there. I mean, so this is the real deal, guys. And that's why I think that guy made a big mistake. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I know there's other people out there like him who believe that, right? Because people are complacent into thinking, yeah, it's going to go to 60 cents. It always goes to 50, 60 cents. And look how long, it's been at this, right? We're at 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, right? And it's just month after week after week, month after month, and it becomes the normal. It becomes, you're being conditioned to believe that is always going to be the case. And that's why the market makers do that, because they want you to get frustrated. They want to shake out the weak hands, guys. They want to get you out, right? Because they want the coins for themselves. And not only that, the reason why you could say, well, XRP sucks because it goes sideways, it doesn't do anything. Why do you think it's going sideways? Because people are accumulating, right? Anytime the price goes sideways, people say, oh, it's because nobody's interested. That's not the case. When the price goes up, that means people bought it. When the price goes sideways, that also means people are buying. But also you're getting sells in there too. But you have to look at it either from a distribution range or an accumulation range. And so far, I see an accumulation range. And the reason why it's an accumulation range is because it's exactly what happened the last time, right? You have a rise, you have a crash, you have a retrace, you go down into reaccumulation, and then you go sideways, and then you go sideways, and then you break out. And then, right, we're waiting for the breakout. It could happen tomorrow, for all I know. You know what I mean? So I always like to share this chart because it highlights it perfectly, right? And then when I go to the 2-month chart, okay, you can see it right there. Look at the 2-month chart. So you can see 40 bars. You can see 40 bars and you can see 20 bars, right? So I'm thinking, okay, this is the moment right here. And now I can actually extend it out. Now we're on the 41st bar, okay? So to me, if it is twice as big, which it appears that's the case, this should be the time, right? This should be the time where we break out. I mean, just look at the chart, Sideways is good. People say sideways is bad. It doesn't do anything. It's a dead coin, right? I mean, if you look at Bitcoin Cash, if you look at Dash Coin, if you look at like EOS, a lot of coins could be dead projects, but sometimes they're just sleepers. They're a sleeping giant. Look at Amazon. It took 10 years for it to wake up. You know what I mean? So, Altcoin Daily was on the David Lynn show and he was talking about it. But I feel like, interview me and let me explain it to you. Because, he was asking him about altcoins, it's and the risk and things like that. And he said, well, some of these are dead projects. Some of these are, blah, blah, blah. But for me, you're not going to really see an altcoin explosion obviously we will see an altcoin explosion, but you're not going to see sustained, right? Because when you have an alt season, it's followed by an alt crash, right? And that's typical. But in order to sustain those levels, you need what? Utility. You need utility. So look for coins that have utility, right? You can say, well, Dogecoin's going up. It has no utility. Yeah, because it's got popularity and it's got momentum. That's a different segment, right? Invest in companies or invest in coins you believe that have a good utility value that are going to be utilized in the future, right? So that's AI, that's DeFi, that's payments, right? But how do we get utility, right? If you want to go to like a major corporation and tell that corporation, hey, use my blockchain, it'll help your business save 15% a month, that company is going to do it. But he can't do it. Why? Because there's no regulations. It's not legal. It's not legal to operate under some of these things, right? So what do we need? We need Trump. We got Trump, right? He's not in office yet, but we got him, right? So, by the way, I still feel like, he met with Joe Biden yesterday. He shook his hand. They said, "Oh, it's going to be a smooth transition," but trust me, I think they got something up their sleeve. I don't know what it is. Things are off really quiet, but the deep state's not going to roll over and quit that easy. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but we'll see. But that's why we're seeing this crypto momentum, because the market is trying to price in a Trump presidency. And maybe once Trump is confirmed, like he's sitting in the Oval Office on January 21st, maybe that's when the bear market starts. You know what I mean? Maybe that's when everything starts to go down and crumble. And you think, well, why would it go down and crumble? Donald Trump just took office. Because that's what markets do. They price in things before they happen, and then they sell it off. Like buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So the rumor is Trump won, he won. But the news is like now he's officially president, right? In January 20th. And that's when the news hits. Like, okay, he's president, now we can sell, right? So it's kind of a reverse psychological type of thing. And that's why the market makers master it, and they play on human emotions, right? And we're all the same to some level. So what I'm waiting for, especially for XRP, is the Senator Loomis bill, the crypto bill. I think it was a FIT bill, right? It passed the House. So now we need to get in there in the first 100 days of Trump's presidency. We need to get it through the Senate, and we have a Republican Senate. So hopefully it passes through the Senate. I think it will. And then President Trump can sign it. And then once it's signed, now we have a legal framework. Now we can work within the confines of the law, right? So these big Fortune 500 companies can now start to utilize these blockchains. And that's the key word, utilize, utility, right? They're looking for utility. So, you know what I mean? So that's what we're waiting for. That is going to be what gets us out of here, right? And remember, just like how Trump became president and Bitcoin is pricing in that Trump presidency, we're also going to price in the utility age. So, for example, let me take everything off the screen now, right? For example, if the market knows that utility is coming, right, then like the Trump presidency, it's going to start pricing it in, right? So that's where we're going to see something amazing happen and something start to explode to the upside, right? And then maybe it's all because the markets like to preempt certain moves, right? It's all preemptive, right? Just like when the FTX collapse happened, everybody said, no, we got to go down further. We got to go down further. And I said, well, why? Because all of these bad things were happening. Well, yeah, but they already happened. You know what I mean? It's old news. It happened, right? Just because it happened yesterday doesn't mean it's going to keep happening, right? It's like sell the rumor or buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Or in that case, you know what I mean? So, things happen. Markets predict. They don't predict what is going to happen. They predict, or they don't predict how it's going to happen. They sort of predict what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So if we see a sudden explosion in XRP, then that means investors are buying it because they know that what's coming in the future is going to support altcoins, like, for example, the XRP ETF, right? And things like that. The Grayscale Trust, which already happened, and then Utility, right? And then even the Ripple IPO, and then who knows what else Trump and Ripple talked about behind closed doors back last summer, right? Remember the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer? Well, guess what? We don't know what they did. So I would love to hear what they talked about. And who knows what sort of backroom deals they've done behind the scenes that they haven't even announced yet. And sometimes, and they go, well, why don't they announce them? Because people have to be in position. People have to be ready. It has to be an appropriate time, right? The first thing we had to know is who was going to be president, right? Because that is going to determine how certain companies position themselves according to, what's going on, right? So anyways, I think XRP's got much more to go. I think this is the beginning. So look at this. Look at this. Here's the grand finale. Ready? This is crazy right here. Look at this. So I want you to take a mental screenshot of this right here, right? So look at this right here. We have a dump, right? We have a retrace. We come down into reaccumulation. You go, yeah, I already know that. But wait. I'm going to show you right now. And then we go sideways, and then we creep, we break out. Well, gee, where have we seen that before? Well, we just saw it on the small time frames. Let's go to the 20-minute chart. You can see it right here. Look at this. It's the same thing. Look, you have the rise, you have the crash, you have the retrace, you have the reaccumulation. You're going sideways, you're creeping. And where are we? I think we're like right in here, and now we're about to dump, and now we're about to pump, right? And then we're creeping, right? And then we break out. So you can see right here. So boom. Same exact thing on the bigger time frame right here. Boom. And then hopefully boom, just like what it did on the smaller time frames. So, it's kind of a cool little unique fractal. And, same thing here, right? You have the same type of move. So anyways, let's get into, I know it's already an hour. If you can hit that like button, I always appreciate it. But this is XRP day. I mean, we're almost at 80 cents. I mean, we tagged 80 cents. We're pulling back a little bit. It's okay. But here's the big thing right here, which is breaking above this downward resistance line. And when you look at it on log scale or on regular scale, we've already technically broken above it right there. So let's go even higher to the 12-day chart. Look at that. Look at that, guys. That's beautiful right there. Look at that. So we've broken above the downward resistance line on linear. But when we go to log scale, that would be the second thing we got to do. We got to break it above log scale, right? And I think that's coming. But I just wanted to point that out. And then another thing, too, is that I believe we've completed our triangle, right? Because that's what this is a triangle. So we can see right here, we have an A, we have a B, we have a C, we have a D, and we have an E, right? And that's another reason I would have never sold like that guy sold. I mean, you could take profit, that's fine, but selling your whole hodl bag, I mean, I think that's dangerous, especially when you're in the middle of something like this, right? You guys got to be patient, man. Patience, especially with XRP. So we have right here, very clearly, you can see we have 3 down, we have 3 up, we have 3 back down, and then we have 1, 2, 3 back up. And then look right here, we have 1, 2, 3, right? So we have that three-way move there. And then what do we have? And then we have a 1. We flagged out for a 2. And now we're going up into that third wave. And I think this third wave can be big. Very, very big. And then we flag out. And then we go for the Grand Slam. $10 XRP. Thank you very much. Right? Look at that. And by the way, if you go to my X account, right? If you go to my X account, that is actually my pinned post right here. Look at this, guys. That's my pinned post right there. Boom. Right? I mean, the timing was off, but it still remains the same. A, B, C, D, and it was a bigger E. See, I thought E would be a little bit smaller, but it actually turned out to be a year long. The wave E took 1 year, guys. Wave E took 1 year, right? So A, B, C, D, E, and then we start to creep out, and then eventually we break out, right? So that was my pinned post that I did back. Whoa, I did this freaking over a year ago, over a year ago. So I've been expecting something like this, right? So yeah, and that's why I had it pinned, and I've had this pinned for, again, over a year, because that's what I believe was happening. And it's still up for debate if it's actually happening. But now that we see Bitcoin breaking out, we see XRP starting to break out a little bit of its range. I mean, it's giving me hope that this is going to completely break out. But you got to have the conviction, right? So anyways, man, I really wanted to get into THETA and other coins, but it's already freaking over an hour long. My freaking mouth just keeps ranting on. But look at this, Pepe. Pepe had a big day yesterday. So I'm thinking, okay, Pepe had a big day. Pepe went up so high. Doge went up so high. SHIB went up so high. But there's a lot of memes out there like Whiff and Bonk and all these other things that, maybe they work out, maybe they don't. But I kind of like BOEM in a way. And if you look at the chart in BOEM, I posted this yesterday. The reason I like it is because, like, if you look at Dogecoin, it went all the way up. And yes, it could keep going. And yes, it could keep making more money. But as far as entries go, it's kind of difficult to get a good entry on BOEM or on some of these meme coins. So when we look at it from, when we look at this chart, what do I see? I see a beautiful downward channel here, right? And we've broken out of that channel. And we have an inverse head and shoulders, and we broke above the neckline. So if you look at the entire chart, it's a baby. It's a baby. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a baby, something that's still very small, right? So go to the daily chart. I mean, we are on a daily 9, though. So just be cautious of that, right? But I think, this has, it's definitely high risk, very high risk. This could go to 0. I don't know. And meme coins are always a big question mark. But the reason I like it is because, again, we've broken above the trend line. It has a nice sort of downward channel, right? It's got sort of like a 1-2-1-2. It had a nice base. It broke out, and then it had an ABC. It sort of back tested the base, and then it reacted off of it. So if that's the case, we want to see it flag out a little bit and then hopefully continue higher. And who knows, this thing might fly, right? Because it's a small market cap and things like that. So, I got a little bit of a BOEM, not financial advice, but just kind of holding it and seeing, maybe it's one of the home runs. So I talked about THETA briefly. And let me just go to the 4-hour chart and let's look real quick. So let's go to the 1 hour. So I don't really, okay. So originally I was looking at this as an A, a B, and a C, a flat, right? And this could be a wave 1. We have a 3-way pullback and then we go. But obviously that's not the case because we took out the low. So what else could it be? Well, I think it could be a flat. obviously, right? So we have A or WXY, that's 3, right? So we have 3 down, and then we have 1, 2, and then we come up for 3, right? That would be like a W, and then we would get an X, and then we would come down in a Y, and then we would go. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here with theta. That's one idea. Another idea is that it's not completely finished yet. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Okay, so that's an A, and then we come up 1, 2, 3. That's a B, and then we come down into C, and then go. Maybe it's a running flat, or maybe it's just sort of like a regular A, B, C, and then we go. So it's still, we need more information, is basically what I'm saying here. So is there divergence? Yes, look at this. We have bullish divergence on the 1 hour chart. Here's a low, lower low, low, higher low. That's bullish divergence. That's what we want to see between the 3rd and the 5th. So I think this would be a little bit of a DCA area, you know, potentially. There's also a chance that it might not be finished yet. For example, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We might need to go down a little bit more, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe a little bit more. Again, we need more data. But then, you know, if we look at it from this perspective, and not just when I talk about theta, I mean, I'm talking about mostly all of them, because a lot of them look like this. All right, so we pull a fib up, right? We're right at the 50. That's a good spot. The 618 is a really good spot. So we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we get down to the 618, that would be, I think, a really good buy, right? So you take this whole wave and you cut it in half, right? And that's right around where you go. And you can also see there's a lot of support right in here, right around $1.24. So anyways, I think that'll do it, because at the end of the day, right, what did we say? This was Wyckoff in here. We got to play around. Boom, 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 right? We get up here, you play around, and then you continue. So 3 up, 3 down, and then you get 5 up. Because ultimately, the whole idea for theta is getting a retracement back into these levels above $2. Okay, so it could take some time. We could flag out in here a little bit, but ultimately we want to see higher prices. And not just theta, but look at near, same kind of thing. We're flagging out, let's go, right? Ethereum, same kind of thing. Maybe we flag out, we go, or we can even come down and back test in here, which would be a little bit more brutal. I still got to get to QNT. I know I'm going to get to QNT soon. IMX, XLM looks good. I think that was about it. Dogecoin's starting to pull back a little bit, starting to consolidate, right? Starting to cool off. Solana, Filecoin. Let's look at Filecoin. So same thing with Filecoin, right? You come down, you back test the breakout area, and then you come up, and then you kind of play around, and then hopefully you break out. But we need data. We need to see wave structure. All we have is a straight line up and a back test. We need more than that. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully maybe we learned something today, because that's what it's about, education. The more educated we can get on charts, the more of a higher success level we can get for our wealth, because that's what it's all about. That's why we wake up every morning, right? We gotta hustle. We're hustlers, right? We gotta make the money. So, and crypto to me is the ultimate weapon, or basically the ultimate vehicle, right, for more wealth. And there's nothing, you're not going to be a celebrity. You're not going to be a famous physician. You're not going to be, somebody who's a lottery winner. Maybe you will, but most of us are just normal people who are trying to figure out how to get more money. And crypto is, my opinion, the best way. So anyways, that'll do it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.